A lot of kids over there. All right, welcome everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started here. Here at the at our Dana Point location, we've got a bit of a crowd forming, but it's everyone's either late today or just not going to show up. Not sure what's going on. Usually we've got a nice crowd of about 10 people or so by now. Today, I don't know if people are stuck in traffic or they're just on spring break or what. But yeah, we'll have a few people show up here. And really excited about today's topic, which is conversion strategies and conversion marketing, using follow-up marketing to convert leads into prospects. This is one of the primary reasons that we all know each other, right? Is because we want to be able to convert better, and so we look for solutions, and we find Infusionsoft, and we get it, and then we all end up in a room or in a webinar like this. And so it's definitely a hot topic. One of the primary reasons we use Infusionsoft, capturing leads, converting them, and getting people to buy more stuff are kind of the three big things that we use Infusionsoft for, and in addition to automating workflow and making our lives easier. But the conversion is really the big one, particularly nowadays. Was not as common a few years back to have a website with good lead capture and that kind of stuff, but nowadays most people do. They have a website, they've got some lead capture in place, and so converting better than your competition is really what it comes down to. So welcome to everybody who's here locally, and welcome to our online crowd. I see a few of you here, Barbara, Brian, David, Gary, Jean, Jocelyn, Tracy. Welcome everybody. Good to see you guys. Jonathan just popped in. So yeah, looking forward to having a great discussion today. And like we did last month, I really want to use these mastermind calls as a time to really kind of workshop things and work on stuff instead of just talk and learn. Really want to be working on some things. So I have a worksheet for you guys. I'm not sure how I'm going to get that to you. I thought through Webinar Jam I could push it out to everybody, but it doesn't look like I can. So we'll probably have to email it afterwards, but you can basically take notes and work through it. We'll work through it together on the screen, and then I'll get the file to you guys all afterwards. So let me get the screen share going here, and we'll get started. All right, yeah, and those of you that are online, of course, use the chat box there to say hi and to ask questions and all that kind of stuff. So let's get started here with this conversion strategy worksheet, which I put together for you guys. And this is basically a guide for helping us figure out how to write appropriate marketing follow-up, or how to put together the right kind of marketing follow-up, whether it be emails or direct mail or even phone calls and things like that. Reason being is most people will get Infusionsoft and think that, hey, conversion, all I need to do is get Infusionsoft and put some emails in place, and then that's it. So it doesn't work that way. The thing is, it used to, right? And it used to only because it was rare that people did automated follow-up. And so if you were the guy that had some automated follow-up, you were the only one in their inbox, and that worked really well. So, if you hear Clayton Mask speak about Infusionsoft, he'll talk about the early days when, basically just put some email sequences in place and, sales just come in the door. And that was absolutely true, but it's not true anymore. There has to be more sophistication behind it now. You have to be better and smarter and have stronger messaging than your competition. So we've got to approach this the right way. So the first thing in this worksheet is to figure out the approach that we're going to take in terms of how we're addressing the appeals. So the first thing is to figure out if your primary, or if your target market is primarily going to respond to a message of desire or a message of fear. Okay, and usually people will, or different markets will lean one way or the other. They're going to respond to desire or fear, but almost always they will respond to both. Just one's going to be stronger than the other, right? And so as we work through this, I've got an example here of kind of a weight loss company. You know, I think down low I call them, instead of Weight Watchers, Weight Slashers or something like that. Let me see. That's what I put. Yeah, Weight Slashers. So the first thing is, you know, define whether they're going to respond to desire or fear. And then list out the primary desires or the primary fears, preferably in order. So, you know, if you're approaching people who, you know, are going to respond to desire in the weight loss arena, I put some examples up there. They might want to lose weight. They might want to feel confident. They might want to fit into their dress. They might want to be noticed or feel loved. You know, those are the types of things that we might put if we're, you know, doing weight loss on that side of things. But there's also the fear side, right? And so I list out some examples there. You know, people judge you, you don't feel like yourself, you have health concerns, you lack confidence, whatever. Those are the negative emotions associated with that same thing. And so you want to choose which one's going to be your primary. Is it desire or is it fear? So let's take a minute and everyone write down, you know, figure out whether it's desire or fear, and whichever one you choose, write down the 3 primary appeals or fears for your target market. So we'll just pause for a minute and do that. If you have questions, go ahead and ask them either in the chat or here live, and we'll talk through them. But we'll give everyone a couple minutes to write those down.
Tyler, how does the fear and desire work with discretionary things? And example, you're selling a watch, you're selling something, you know, vacation. I mean, it's just discretionary. Yeah.
The really good questions. And I've had that question come up in other situations. So the question for those of you that are online is, what about in like discretionary expenditures? Like, I want to buy myself a watch, or, you know, the example that always kind of comes to mind for me too in those situations, like, you know, toilet paper or toothpaste or things. There are things I have to buy. I'm not going, like, there's not a whole lot of emotion behind that, right? So it does become a little bit different. But if you really drill into it, there are emotional feelings, or at least some desires associated with those. You know, for a watch for example, you know, why do you want that watch? Is it because it looks really cool and you want to be recognized? Or is it just because you want the convenience of having the time on your wrist and, you know, whatever? There's something behind it. You know, you're not going to buy a watch just because. And then, you know, for things like, you know, as mundane as toilet paper, there are annoyances, right? with certain products. No wood chips, right? And so you play off those things. So fears, you know, the other part of the fear, that could be fear/pain, right? So you could work off the pains of competition, of competitive products. Yeah, Paul.
So with the toilet paper example, one of the fears.
so Paul's maybe right into it.
One of the fears might be the fear of making a bad decision and coming home from Costco, lugging this huge package of 44 rolls of toilet paper, and your wife is going to say, "No, that's not what I need. We don't have room to store that." So the actual fear of making a mistake.
Is that still fresh from yesterday?
How long did this happen, Paul?
That's a deeply rooted emotional scar. But there's always some kind of fear of making a mistake with the wrong type of mundane purchase. And there's always the anticipation that we feel of justifying a purchase. If we come home with a Rolex, and we need to say, "Hey, baby, look what I just bought." How do we justify that expense to a wife? And in a B2B scenario, how do we justify an investment that that we make on behalf of our firm to a partner. So this justification always comes into play, and that can be a big part of fear, or it might only be a subset of desire, but it's something to keep in mind. In your weight loss scenario, we're always, most people who invest in a weight loss product have invested in some type of a product before.
Yep.
And one of their fears, one of their inner conversations is going to be, I've tried this before. What's different this time?
Yeah.
What's going to make it work now? And we need to help the prospect justify that in her own mind.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point. So a couple people asking online, where do I get the worksheet? I'm going to email it out to all members afterwards. Like I said, I thought I could push it to everybody through Webinar Jam. Doesn't look like I can, so I apologize for that. I'll get it out. So yeah, continue taking some notes on primary desires, and those of you that are online, maybe you post them in the chat. We'll talk through them. I'm going to talk through mine. So my target market is Infusionsoft users. It's important to note though, and this is really important in deciding who you're going to go after, right? In the Infusionsoft community, there's lots of people, and they come in different varieties. Some people really want to grow. That's the primary desire that I focus on. I want to work with clients who want to grow because that's what I can help them do. But there's other people who don't necessarily growth isn't their primary driver. They're trying to maybe organize the business better, get more efficient. They want to use Infusionsoft for a bunch of workflow automation and things like that. And those people are fine, but I could help them, sure, but I don't want to help them. I want to help people who want to grow because that's what excites me and that's what I'm best at and that kind of stuff. So for me, primary desire is growth, not necessarily automation or some of those types of things. Also, there's lots of business owners who live in fear. I'd say probably we all live in fear to a certain extent, right? But some people let the fear really drive them, and other people are driven more by the opportunity and the future and things like that. I want to work with those people. I don't want to work with people who are reacting out of fear. And so those are important distinctions, right? And for everybody, when you look at your target market, you want to look at those emotional aspects of it and determine, okay, there's two sides to every coin. Which side do I want to work with? And both can be very lucrative. There's not a right or wrong answer here. It's just a matter of what you're going to be able to identify best with and which group of people you're going to be able to help the most. Any thoughts or questions about that before we move on here? Everyone had a chance to write down their primary desires, top three?
Hey, Tyler, we used to be kind of desire oriented, but we've definitely converted largely to the fear element, because when people express to us what they want, great, here's our product or service, we can deliver it. And the majority of them don't go for that. Mm-hmm. But when we focus a little bit more on the fear, not completely, but more so than we used to, for sure, they respond. They can relate to, well, we don't want our kids to be heavily in debt. We don't want to be that. We want to retire. We want our kids to graduate and get a career and so forth. So that fear element, I think for a lot of businesses is really key. And we've definitely turned the corner and are doing more and more emails and discussions live about this fear.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen data that suggests that fear-based messaging is far more efficient in getting people to act than positive messaging. Yeah. But I think that the order in which you communicate this stuff is really important, right? So you'll see that the next step is actually, if you chose desire as the primary thing for you, the next step is we need to define the fear as well. And vice versa. If you chose fear as the thing you're going to focus on, next thing is the desire. Because again, there's two sides to every coin. Yeah. And I believe that so for me, I want to attract people who want to grow, right? They may not act off of a growth message in terms of buying stuff or signing up for things or whatever, but they'll be attracted to it initially, right? Because they'll say, hey, I want to grow. That's me. Whatever you're saying about growth, yeah, that sounds like me. I want that. Yeah. Right? Then they get in and they're listening or whatever. They may not convert right away, but they're liking what they're hearing. And then it's the fear message they'll often get people to kind of, get pushed over the edge. And vice versa, right? If it's a fear-based message, if it's, hey, you feel uncomfortable, people judge you, it's terrible, like, oh yeah, that's me, push on the pain. The way you get them out of that is you give them hope, right? You come and then like, yeah, that feels so good. I want that. Yes, let's do it. So using those kind of opposites is really important.
Yeah.
So when we're dealing with a positive aspirational element such as growth, which is a really cool thing, we can subtly inject fear into that messaging.
Yes.
We can say, don't make the mistake that limits your growth, or don't grow too quickly, or don't grow the wrong way, or don't grow at the expense of X. So there's a way to take this positive of growth and temper it somewhat, and get the prospect thinking about, how do I want to grow? And then you can come in and say, this is how I'm going to help you grow. This is the best way to do it. And that allows you to differentiate yourself in the process.
Yeah, definitely. Paul, I'm glad you showed up on this day in particular. Your experience will be invaluable.
You have to think of going into copywriting, Paul.
Yeah, you might want to
Tyler,
Yeah.
question. Help me kind of ask myself the question. I mean, my business. One of them is the printing, the paper printing. How would you do fear, or would you do desire? And remember,
well, you've got two different sides of your business, right? You've got the wholesale and
no, this
retail.
one is retail. You're the
Retail.
I'm focused on just the retail.
So retail only here. Let's think about that. Well, talk to us about those people. So for the benefit of everybody else, you and I could talk, but tell everybody else who these people are, what they're trying to do.
Well, we are the business is a multiple division, but one of them that we're starting, this is a new website. What we're trying to target is the people who buy from us. They didn't know that we do traditional printing. So I'm trying to convert people who bought the CDs and DVDs and all that stuff to tell them, hey, we still do stationaries, we still do business card marketing, direct mail campaign, and things like that. So we just put together a new website. We kind of came up with the easy way to remember the URL, something that's easy. But how would somebody who's just ordering business card or postcard, how would you do fear? I tried to think of what would they use it for. Would that be the driver? Is it to talk about how that affect that it's for their business, or is it their image, or what do you think?
Hey, question for you.
Yeah.
I would think that a lot of people that come to you probably had some kind of bad experience at some point along the line with delivery or quality or something. Is that true?
I would say with customer service. An example,
the other end because I didn't know how to do what I was doing. I found the site very much like yours, but